So John, can you let us know some of this legislation that has passed and how it affects people's insurance premiums?
Absolutely. So I would say, I'm going to say for the vast majority of people who own property, this law is really not going to change much in terms of what you need for your insurance, because a good insurance agent will have already made sure that you have the right coverage in place that's going to meet the requirements of this law. And so in a lot of senses, I think this law is a good thing in that it's kind of preventing insurance agents from doing things that they shouldn't have been doing all along, which is giving people an insurance policy that does not have this very important coverage for their property. So as a landlord in Rhode Island, if you have any tenant occupied dwelling, any sort of multifamily home, you rent the property out to somebody else, at least one of the units, the law is saying that you're required to carry at least $100,000 of general liability coverage, which will protect you, the landlord, in the event that a tenant or really any other person on the property files a lawsuit against you for your negligent acts that could have caused somebody to get injured or their property to be damaged. That being said, I would recommend that any landlord do carry more than that minimum required limit of $100,000. $1 million liability for a rental property is surprisingly inexpensive. You would be surprised how little you have to pay to get 10 times the required amount of coverage, sometimes as little as $5, $10 a month, difference in what you pay to get that extra 900,000 of coverage. Anyways, the law is requiring 100,000 general liability. This is coverage for injuries or property damage to others as a result of your negligence as a landlord. This could be somebody slipping and falling down the stairs and saying it's my landlord's fault because they didn't have adequate safety measures in place on these stairs. Now, an important point that I will make, because I'm getting a lot of questions about this, is the law states general liability. That's the term that's used, general liability. Yeah. Now, on personal insurance policies, if you're maybe a owner-occupied situation, you own a 3-family home, you live in one of the units and you rent out the other 2. On your homeowner's policy, the liability is called personal liability. It's not referred to as general liability. There is an important distinction between the two, but what's important to know is that if you do have personal liability coverage that covers you at that location for $100,000, it does meet the requirement of the law. You have enough, as long as you have $100,000 of personal liability, that is going to meet the requirements there because it covers you for the same thing. General liability is the term that's used on a commercial insurance policy. So like a business owner's policy or some sort of a policy that's a commercial property policy is referred to as general liability.